Over the last 5 years, we have seen a rise in the retro handheld market. There's a few reasons for this. One, consoles and video games have just frankly gotten really expensive. I mean, PS5s have never really lost their value. They're still just as expensive as they were in 2020. The games are more expensive now, and frankly, on the PS5 and the Xbox Series consoles, there just hasn't been many new releases to purchase them. Call of Duty's at an all-time low, Madden, 2K, all the games that the normies buy are just nowhere near as good. And in terms of exclusives, we haven't really gotten that many. On top of that, nostalgia has absolutely blown up since 2020, and the retro video game market blew up in 2020, made the games very expensive, hard to find, all that. But now, again, for most people, they're not trying to buy tons of old video games. You gotta buy the consoles, you gotta buy the games that are way too expensive, like the GameCubes. You gotta spend $100 on a GameCube, then you gotta spend $80 to play that game, and then you gotta find a TV that hooks it up, or you gotta grab an adapter, and it's a whole thing to set up. And that's where these retro handhelds have really blown up since then. The technology has finally gotten to the point where you can affordably make these things worth it for just the normal consumer, and as long as you're not completely tech illiterate, it's pretty easy to set up. And that's where, like I said, these retro handhelds have absolutely blown up. And now in 2025, there are so many options, and every single form factor you can think of. You want to make it look like a PSP Go? They just released one like that. The GBASP has one. The regular Game Boy has one. If you want to do a super minimalist one that's just like more cool looking, not gamer looking, they got that as well. So with that said, I'm very quickly going to go over 3 consoles I have here, but I'm going to talk about one in particular. But let's start with these two. First of all, the Retroid Pocket Flip 2, it's been out for about 6 months. It's awesome. Plays GameCube, PS2 really well. It's an Android device. Has a really nice OLED screen for like $200. A little more after shipping. It's great. For those higher end games, it's awesome. Of course, it's not super portable. Like, it's portable, but you're not putting this thing in your pocket. But the design of this thing is beautiful. I mean, I don't know what's going on with the pie chart. It's been talked about a lot. I know people put like custom plates on there or something just to hide it. But in terms of the screen, I mean, man, it's a beautiful screen. And like I said, obviously it plays everything up to PS2 and GameCube. It's a great console for that $200 to $250 range. And if you're looking to go a little cheaper but more nostalgia, you got the Abernic SP. This is along a huge line of retro handhelds from Abernic with this chipset that all pretty much do the same thing. They all just have different form factors in there. And I bought this one because as a kid, I had the Cobalt SP, so I had to pick one of these up to match it. I was like, man, this thing is just pure nostalgia for me. However, as much as I love it, and it's cool, and I got it set up all nice with Noli, and I got the games I want on there, and I got it making look like it's a Game Boy, it's portable, and you can put it in your pocket, but it's not exactly perfect. Obviously it's a chunky boy. I mean, just look, it's very chunky. So yeah, you could put this thing in your pocket or a bag or whatever, but it's not perfect. I mean, no handheld is. And with that said, I'm big on portability. I mean, if I'm going to bring one of these around, I want to be able to pick it up, play for a few minutes, and put it away. Not only because it can fit in my pocket, but also just because if I'm out and about, the likeliness I'm going to be sitting and playing games for a long period of time is very slim. And if I am going to be playing games for a long period of time, I'm probably traveling. And in that case, I'll just bring this with me or this with me, right? So that's where it leads us to a console that came out last year or 2 years ago in 2023 or 24. I honestly don't remember, but it still absolutely holds up, even though I feel like it's been passed on by so many other ones, including the Trim UI brick. And that's the Miyu Mini Plus. This thing is a bigger brother to the original Miyu Mini, and it basically does all the games that this would do. Maybe not as powerful, but for the most part, if you're just looking to just play something from Game Boy and below, so Game Boy, NES, SNES, anything below that, obviously, this works really well. And this is still, a year and a half later, as this was like the first one I picked up since, I think, 2020 when I picked up the original Retroid 2. this thing is still my everyday carry. That's why when you look up those EDC videos on YouTube, like the non-gamer EDC videos, and they just want something different, you'll usually see one of these in there, maybe a trim UI brick. But for $50, I still think this is not only a great option for just the everyday person that wants to, that's like the gamer, everyday gamer, I guess. It's also a great option for someone that doesn't game a lot, but just wants that nostalgia hit. I've gotten this for my dad. I've gotten this for other friends. I set it up for them because I just have a little more experience than them, and it's easier if I just set it up for them and they can just plug in and play. And it has all the games you would think of. And like I said, for these type of consoles, the main thing I want to be able to do is not only fit into my pocket seamlessly and not make it look like I have a giant brick. It's like, what is going on with your wallet? Why do you have the George Costanza wallet? It's like, it's not my wallet, it's a game console. No, I want this thing to be slim and nice looking, and that's exactly what this is. On top of that, one thing this does really well is not only does it quick resume, it also auto saves. This thing now I have it set up to where it'll shut down automatically, but when I turn it on, it doesn't automatically open the game. That's a slight nitpick. I know you're like, wait, that's dumb. But if I'm on the go and I just want to play for a few minutes, this thing is perfect. Like I said, it has quick resume. I can quickly hop between game to game. And the main thing it does is when I turn it off and turn it back on, when I'm like done with a game, when I turn it off, it'll auto save. So let's say I'm playing Pokemon, it'll auto save where I am, and then I turn it back on and it picks me right back up. I know it's not exactly true to the original, but who cares? I think that's the main reason why these have, well, not the only reason, but one of the main reasons why these have blown up, over the last 5 years. I think people have come to the realization, yes, having the old systems are cool and having the old games are cool, but frankly, I'm not spending $250 on a copy of Pokemon Fire Red. I'm sorry. For the normal person, they're not doing that. Would it be nice to have it all cool and boxed up? Of course. To have it on the shelf? Yes, it would be nice to have an original GameCube with all the GameCube games that are awesome. Yeah, but that console's not worth me spending $100 on the console and $100 on each game. Like, I'm good on that. For most people, these are just fine. Emulating is just fine. Emulation is great for that. I know. I shouldn't say that. I know that's technically stealing. Womp womp. It's 2025. Nintendo's not making money off me playing Pokemon Fire Red on this system 20 years later. So with that said, just a quick tour, I guess, of my Miyu Mini Plus. It's pretty bare bones right now, actually. I wiped it at one point, so literally all I have on here is GBA games. I'll get a closer shot real quick, but I have it set up so seamlessly, just minimally. I really love this minimal look. I know minimalism's kind of like super trendy, although I think the trend's kind of dying. But I just love the minimal look of just having the title of the games on there, and just be able to quickly, press a button and bam, ready to go. I think that's why I love this so much. Like I said, I think the portability and the simplicity of it is why I gravitate towards this over any of these. Maybe one day we'll get a console that plays PS2 and GameCube, but honestly, I don't even know if I would want to play PS2 or GameCube on this. And most of the time, if I'm out and about traveling, the likeliness I'm going to turn on a PS2 game to play for more than like 10 minutes is very small, and these GBA games are perfect for that. So there's a lot of options. Like I said, Trim UI Brick is a good option as well. It's about the same price, but I think if you're getting into the retro handheld market, look into one of these, man. I bet in the secondary market too on eBay, you can probably get them for even cheaper. I think this console's really been overlooked because of just how many options there are now. I still think the Miyu Mini Plus is a top 3 option for most people. But with that said, let me know, what retro console, if any, are you guys playing at the moment or planning on playing in the future? Appreciate y'all watching. More videos in the future. Talk to y'all later. Goodbye, guys.